Welcome to Musings Television, where your host, Fabian, invites you to bloom with a new perspective that will encourage, uplift, and inspire. Here he is with today's musings.
So on a Friday, I would normally drive around to my mom's best friend who cooks on a Friday at her place in Vineyard Town or Rollington Town, and patronize her. And for whatever reason, today, just coming into the yard, my attention was focused or turned to her Julie mango tree, which sits in the front of the yard, quite expansive in terms of its branches distributed across the entire front of the yard, as you can see. Yeah, bearing fruit, but for whatever reason my attention was turned to the tree trunk, and I recognized that a part of the tree trunk here, well, one of the branches that would have spun off from the main trunk, was basically dead. Right, as you can see, it is rotted to the point where it's being eaten by duck ants and thing. And it just occurred to me, you know, there's this Jamaican saying, when a dead, no dash it away. And it brought that Jamaican saying, phraseology, home to me to ponder on, because here it is. As you can see, there are parts of the mango tree that is quite healthy and still bearing fruit, but this one limb shown thereof is dead, and is rotten. So it is attached to the trunk of the tree coming up from the ground, from which the other branches spanned over and are being fruitful. And I am one who introspects and is inspired and refreshed by the natural environment and things around me. It caused me to just think. And in keeping with the saying, when I did not dash it away, here it is, as mentioned before, that this tree is very much alive. It has a dead branch attached to it, but at the same time, clearly, this dead branch is not drawing the life out of it in a sense. It is not preventing it from bearing fruit and from continuing to stand firm and thrive in its environment. And I think that occasions for me a lesson for myself, and should a lesson for you out there who might be viewing this video and listening to the thoughts, this reflective thought that I have been inspired to give life to by just observing this Julie mango tree, its dead branch, in as much as the live and very healthy branches that's connected to the trunk and the rooting system. So in essence, it says to me that just like the mango tree, just like this tree has this dead limb attached to it that is being eaten by duck ants roots, etc. As you can see, it's being broken down. And here we have the very sturdy, strong limbs still intact, and as you can see, bearing fruit as it should, in keeping with its purpose. I like this living Julie tree likely have dead branches, and that's figuratively now, and sometimes even dead limbs. If we think of persons who have medical challenges such as a stroke, which will cause the life in half of their bodies to have gone, their limbs, their hands to no longer function as it should, their feet to no longer function as it should. It's an example of the same, yet still they are alive. They can be rehabilitated too, to a large extent. Unlike this limb here, be able to be rehabilitated because it's long beyond decay now. Similarly, for us as human beings, there may come times in our lives when we have dead limbs that we have to carry on with because we are still alive. And as exemplified by this tree, our dead limbs do not prevent us from continuing to bear fruit from the limbs that are alive in our lives, from the limbs that are still yet alive. And even so, the dead limbs is not in the case of this tree, and certainly we could argue in the case of our lives, do not suck the life out of us. It does not drain or prevent those healthy branches from continuing to survive and continuing to bear fruit. So, figuratively, no, beyond our limbs, beyond our limbs, and internally, whatever the dead areas are in our lives, those things that are beyond now being nurtured and have gone towards decay, we can't focus on those things really, right? And we can't allow the dead limbs in our lives to drain the health out of the healthy limbs. If you get what I'm saying, we have to press on. I think this tree, as it stands here, is pressing on. It has lost one of its limbs, but yet still it has several more that continue to flourish and continue to bear fruit in keeping with its biology, in keeping with its nature. So today, if you feel that you have some dead limbs in your life, or you are in possession of areas of your life that you consider to be dead, don't focus on those dead areas. Focus on the areas that are yet alive and are able to continue to bear fruit and fulfill its purpose, and to give life not only to those around you and to yourself, but also to those around you, because purpose is still alive, because not all your branches, not all your limbs are dead and in a point or a state of decay. So focus on those limbs that are alive, those limbs that you can continue to prune, to grow fresh, to bear a more healthier harvest, and to continue to nourish and enrich your existence whilst you are yet still alive and kicking. So, from the Julie tree in Miss Carmen's yard in Rollington Town, where I will now go to enjoy. I think it's some pot roast pork with breadfruit and vegetable and hopefully some plantain, as well as some soup for lunch. I leave you with this thought that for your healthy and thriving limbs, even though there might be dead limbs attached to you, it's not meant to drain. The dead limbs are not meant to drain the life out of your limbs that continue to exist. So focus on these, the strong, sturdy limbs that have life in them, and reap, nurture them as you continue to grow and journey in the land of the living. Peace.
Ready, you can come, yeah?
Yeah, I'm coming. So, from musings, vlog musings, to lunch. I don't see no planting, so maybe I gotta ask Carmen about my planting.
There you have it, this week's musings. We hope you found it encouraging, inspiring, and uplifting. Let Fabian know your thoughts by leaving a comment on this video. Do spread the word and invite others to subscribe to Musings Television. Until next week, may your hearts remain ever joyful.